What's up, everybody? Jordan Stewart here from Vover. Thanks so much for tapping into the Vover original show. Just a reminder that if you want to drop your opinions about the episode or respond to the host and guests with your voice, go and download the Vover app wherever you get your apps. Vover, voice over everything. Enjoyed the show.
What's going on, Vover Pop? It's Tuesday, so you know what that means. It's time for another edition of Regular Thoughts with Regular Scott. I am your host, Regular Scott, and this week we are going to take a look at Netflix potentially adding video games to their catalog. We're also going to talk about the Loki finale and what it can mean for the future of the MCU, and take a look at some of the Emmy nominations for the WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier. We got a packed show. Let's jump right into things. Netflix is looking to add video games to their catalog. It's a very interesting move. In 2022, I've spoken on this show how Netflix needs something to, in the past at least, I've spoken about how Netflix needs something to stand out, differentiate itself. Its TV shows have fallen flat. Jupiter's Legacy wasn't what it needed to be. It wasn't the answer to an Invincible, to The Boys that you thought you were going to have. You know, Amazon's got shows, Hulu's got shows, all of these other HBO Max has its own shows, Disney Plus has its own shows, even Paramount has its own shows. All these platforms, CBS, all these platforms have their own shows. What's Netflix going to keep that's going to differentiate itself? It's got Stranger Things, but that's coming to an end soon. Video games is a good answer. I grew up during the time when, I grew up with Blockbuster, going there every Friday, 99-cent video games. But I also grew up with Redbox, where you had to mail your DVDs or get your DVDs mailed to you, and you would return them to a Redbox station or kiosk station somewhere. So this obviously is not going to be the same. It's just going to be digital. I'm assuming, you could buy it on your streaming thing, upload Netflix to your Xbox or PS, and bam, that's how you get your game. It will be interesting to see how this works. Can I just buy a game on my TV? Are they going to have maybe TV compatible games where I don't need a Netflix? Or is it going to be games like a Bandersnatch, which is something that Netflix has experimented with? And I honestly liked Bandersnatch, where you choose what happens in the movie. It's an interesting concept. Black Mirror Bandersnatch, by the way. I would, tell everyone to go check that out. It is something different. They have Batman Under the Red Hood, Batman Death in the Family, the animated movie. They have a DVD of that where it has, just a plethora of different stories and endings that can go from there. You can choose if the story of Death in the Family is Jason Todd, Robin gets killed by the Joker, and Batman has to go avenge the loss. And this was a real thing that was voted on by listeners back in the day when Jason Todd was just becoming Robin, and his popularity wasn't very high, and voters actually voted for him to die in the comics, so they killed him off. This, gives you options of what happens if he didn't die. What happens if Batman gets there in time, if he survives? So maybe Netflix goes in that direction too. That's an interesting concept. I think Bandersnatch, there's something to that, where you get to pick it. And I thought it's a little slow at times, and obviously there's only so many different places you can go. But, another thing is like Telltale Games is all about decisions. They have a Game of Thrones, 2 Batman games, Guardians of the Galaxy games, Borderlands. Those are all Telltale games, and they're all decision-based games. So that's another thing that you could probably play on the TV. So things like that are possibilities to go along with, if you upload it on the Xbox, obviously you get your digital Xbox games, and maybe you just limit what kind of games you can get or whatnot. But I think you're going to see more of the Telltale games, with decision-making, story-driven type games instead of more of the action-based type action-based type games. But we'll see. I'm actually very intrigued by that, and that could be what Netflix does to separate itself, which is very important nowadays with everything going streaming. Next, I want to talk about all of the Emmy nominations that WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier got. WandaVision got 23 Primetime Emmy nominations. A couple of them, Outstanding Limited Series, Outstanding Lead Actress for Elizabeth Olsen, Outstanding Lead Actor Paul Bettany, Outstanding Supporting Actress Kathryn Hahn, Outstanding Directing, Outstanding Writing, Outstanding Production, Outstanding Casting, Outstanding Fantasy Sci-Fi Costumes. Just a plethora of different outstanding, obviously outstanding song, music and lyrics, Agatha All Along, that had to get nominated for something. Outstanding original main title theme music. So outstanding special effects. So 23 nominations for WandaVision, 5 for Falcon Winter Soldier, and one that really caught my eye. Guest actor in a drama series, Don Cheadle, got nominated for a Emmy, and he was in the show for maybe 3 minutes tops. Don Cheadle actually spoke about it and said thanks on Twitter. He wrote, "Thanks, well wishers, sorry haters, agreed. I don't really get it either, but on we go." So I just want to throw this out there. Don Cheadle got that for his 3-minute cameo, which was fine. Don Cheadle eats up scenery, but he wasn't asked to do a lot. It was fine. Jonathan Majors, which we'll get to when we get to the Loki series, I expect him to get it all then. I expect him to get the bag. He should have the bag for what he did. If that got Don Cheadle nominated, this should get Jonathan Majors an award next year for best cameo. I'm just throwing that out there, but this is great for the Disney Plus series, and I think they'll get more for Loki. I think Loki is going to get a good amount of nominations next year. Whenever the Emmys come out, like I said, I think Jonathan Majors will get one. I'm gonna get to into that as well. Tom Hiddleston, the actress that plays Sylvie, they've all been fantastic. And we'll see what happens with the What If series. The animated series could get nominated for things as well. So this is you can't ask for more. It's critically acclaimed. It's commercially acclaimed. It's a success. People are happy with everything. There's no duds. Like, Marvel is just hitting on all cylinders. And as a comic book guy, the one thing you could always count on with Marvel and DC, Marvel's always going to hold it down with their movies, live action. And DC always brings the heat with their animated game. Their animated movies are fire. Batman Mask of Phantasm is one of the best Batman stories ever created, period. DC just does a great job with their animated realm. If Marvel takes that over with the what ifs, I don't know what DC has to fall back on. They have Batman, Superman, the old faithfuls, but how long can you keep going back to them? Boy, oh boy, Marvel might be coming to take the reins, period. But because if they take over the animated realm, it's a problem for DC. But this is great for Marvel. So many nominations. Whether they get a win or not, if they get a win, that's huge. And it's probably gonna mean some prices go up for some of these actors and actresses, but that's to be expected. And let's go right into the Loki series. This will be our final bit that we talk about because I'll probably talk about this for a little bit. Like I was saying, Jonathan Majors, the big reveal, he who remains, he is essentially Kang. He has said he was a conqueror, and man, he did a great job. I won't go scene for scene as far as reviewing the episode, but just hit some big things. Loki and Sylvie have a great standoff where they kind of realize, as much as they want it to work between them, they are who they are. They both are still Lokis, and they just won't work. Jonathan Majors shows up, has about an 8-minute scene, and is just fantastic. Just eats up everything and everyone in his way, and he steals the show. He steals the show. He emits so many emotions, and he changes his tone, his diet, just the way he talks, and the apple, just little things he does throughout the scene. He's fantastic. You see the multiverse, kind of go mad. The multiverse of madness, which we will get with Doctor Strange. You see it going mad. You see the different timelines. You see how we're going to get into Spider-Man and how we get Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire showing up with Tom Holland. We're seeing how it happens, and why I feel like Doctor Strange, this is going to be a kind of Civil War caliber size event for a movie, because Loki is going to show back up in that movie, and it makes sense. I almost feel like after the events of this finale with Loki, we're going to get 2 Avengers teams. I could definitely see a magical side of things, a magical Avengers team, maybe like a Doctor Strange and Loki, and whoever else they decide to pull out. And, they could even, they talked about vampires. You could pull a Blade out. I doubt it, but it would have to be down the road after a Blade shows up. So that's years. So maybe Blade's out. You could do Ghost Rider, more of the cosmic entities. And then you have your street level, because obviously they're building towards a Thunderbolts or a Dark Avengers. Especially last week I talked about the after credit scene from Black Widow, where they sent Yelena, Black Widow's sister, a picture of Hawkeye saying Miss Allegra from Falcon Winter Soldier, Elaine from Seinfeld. She gave her a picture. She gave Yelena a picture of Clint and said, "This is the reason that Natasha died, and go get him." So there's a lot of connections there. I think we get 2 sets of Avengers movies. Obviously, it's not going to be in Doctor Strange, but that could be a setup to what we get. I also think with the wording of what Kang was saying, or He Who Remains, we could potentially get a different Kang in every single cosmic or even street level, every single movie TV series going forward. Who would it be surprised? He can be, there's so many variants of him, and you can get him being so many different ways, and you don't know if he's a good one or a bad one. And when we get to the eventual reveal of the Kang the Conqueror, the one variant who is coming to rule them all, he could be this dominant presence, but we could have a lot of fake outs on the way there. We could have some who think they're the Conqueror, and until we meet the Conqueror, because we got to remember, we saw how he knows time. He knows what's going to happen. So he knew what was going to happen. He allowed Sylvie to kill him. This is interesting, man. This opens a ton of doors that were previously closed. I'm really excited. I'm excited to see Jonathan Majors all throughout the MCU going forward. Really excited to just see him interacting with all these different characters and seeing the different characters respond to him and react to him, because he's unlike anything they've seen before. It's not like you're dealing with a brute like Thanos, a powerhouse like Thanos, who you just know you have to, you just have to outpower, you have to outmuscle. You gotta, what do you do with somebody who knows time? Who's dealing with time? This is going to be interesting. I'm very excited to see how they react. I'm pumped about it. This is one of the best reveals we've gotten in a while. The multiverse is here. Ant-Man is going to be more important now. I definitely expect to see Jonathan Majors show up in that as Kang the Conqueror. So Ant-Man just became a much more important movie. Spider-Man could potentially become more important. I wouldn't be surprised to see him there. Doctor Strange has become more important. All of these have become more important. Just fantastic. No after credit scene, because I feel like the last 10 minutes of the TV show where, they show the multiverse being created and Kang giving that dialogue about what happens if he dies was a huge after credit scene. Just fantastic. But man, that's all I got for this week. I could just go on and ramble about Loki and Jonathan Majors and Kang the Conqueror and what could come, because I'm really excited about it. There's a ton of possibilities. But let me know what you think. You can find me on Twitter at for Marvel vs. DC. That's the number 4. You can find me on the Vover app at Regular Scott. You can also download this podcast, subscribe, Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Let me know what you think. Give me your feedback. Let me know if you think I'm wrong, if you think I'm on it. Let me know. And as always, y'all have a good time, because we're going to have a good time. Until we talk to y'all next time. Peace.
Forward.